That's how I get through life. That's really it. Anyway, folks, we're going to do this song now that was off the Lost and Found record. Also called an LP. That's right, folks. I said LP. How many of you actually remember what LPs are? How many of you remember? Well, a lot of folks don't know what LPs are anymore, folks. That's right. Because we had these things called LPs back in the ancient times, back in the olden days. Don't see them too much anymore, of course. Now everybody has those sort of funny little iPods, right? iPods. Well, you know, I'm sorry, but you know, do I want to play music on an iPod or an LP, right? That's right, that's right. But LPs are a funny thing for those of you who don't know. See, back in the ancient times, folks, recording a record was a lot harder than it is nowadays. Nowadays, you go up into your bedroom, you mess around on your computer a little bit, and a week later you got a record. That's not how it was back in the ancient times, back in the olden days. Back in those times, to make a record, a band had to be really committed to do this, right? It took a long time to record it, and you had to go into an expensive place called a recording studio, right? You had to save up your money and do a bunch of gigs, a bunch of crummy gigs all over. You save up your money, wouldn't eat anything for about 3 weeks, save up several $1,000s, and you go to this recording studio, right? Now this recording studio is a really cool place. That's right. It ain't like it is nowadays where you have a bunch of computers laying around. Back in those days, you'd walk in, there's posters all over the wall, really cool kind of vibey kind of place, right? Ran by this cool sort of dude, you know. He was all into all the new bands. He had these things in this place called tape machines. That's right, tape machines. Believe that or not? Well, you're still with me. I think you're believing me. Anyway, these tape machines, they were really big, about this big around. They had these circular reels of 2-inch tape. And the tape would go between these two big machines, and as you were playing, it would change the electrons on the tape and record your music. All right? So anyway, after you did that in the recording studio, you worked really hard. You played all day and all night. You didn't sleep, eat, nothing. You just recorded your music. You worked really hard. So anyway, after you were done with this, you took it to a place called a mastering plant. All right? Mastering plant. This place would take your tapes and make it into a thing called an acetate. Right? Then you take this acetate, and here's where the story gets a little bit bizarre. You would take this acetate to a place, and we don't have these anymore in the United States of America. There probably is very few even here in the Netherlands. A place called a factory, okay? A factory, a record factory, and it would manufacture these LPs. Okay, now, after he got these LPs done, made a really cool art thing, made an album cover. It was 12 inches by 12 inches. Had a big cool picture of the band on the front of it. And inside had these cool lyrics and stuff, right? And you could read about it. You could read about who produced it and whatnot, who wrote the songs. And you'd spend all day reading this. Of course, if you were in Amsterdam and you'd been visiting a coffee shop, you might spend 2 or 3 days reading those lyrics. You did. Anyway, after we got this thing done, we would take, us musicians, would take these records. We didn't have a record company. We'd take them down to a place that was called, and I know you're probably not going to believe this, but anyway, it was called, in those days, a record store. Right, a record store. Okay, now this record store was a really cool place. Sort of like a recording studio, but a lot cooler. Had a whole bunch of cool black light posters on the wall. It was always run by this sort of overweight, middle-aged guy. He looked like Allen Ginsberg, right? It was ran by this overweight fellow. And this guy knew everything about these LPs, about these records. He knew who produced it, who wrote the songs. He knew which one was good and which one was bad. And then he would tell you, actually, which record he would recommend that you buy. He wouldn't tell you to buy all of them. Not like we do nowadays, where we want to sell everybody everything. In those days, he wanted to sell you a quality product. He'd say, this record is what you should buy. That's right. Now, after you were done with this whole process, if you were just a person wanting to buy some music, this is where the story gets very, very bizarre. You may not believe this, but as God is my witness, witness that God strike me dead at the end of this whole process.